After waiting an extra 2 days to get Uncharted 4 thanks to a mess up in the shipping by the company I ordered it from, and then playing the game non-stop. And then thinking about, before its official release, all the hate, all the bashing, all the crying at 5 a.m. over its getting a review score, was Uncharted worth the wait? Worth the review scores? Worth the epic praise it got? Or was the game simply an example of media bias and payoffs? This is the TitanFallPrincess, and welcome to Titanfall Reviews. Today I'll be reviewing Uncharted 4 for the PS4. First up, I'm going to do graphics. Nathan Drake is back and looks better and more realistic than ever in 2016. In fact, the world of Uncharted is back and looks better than it ever looked. Uncharted 4 is truly an example of a polished game that had a lot of time and love put into it. Thanks, Naughty Dog. From the epic mountain scenery to the plant-filled jungles, baking deserts, this is the best looking game this gen, or any gen for that matter, on consoles. Naughty Dog put so much effort behind crafting a living world Nathan Drake can explore that's pure eye candy. It's the little details like grass blades blowing in the wind and blowing actually in the direction that the wind's blowing, underwater plants and fish, and the plants are actually moving to the waves of the water. The wildlife like parrots, oxes, bugs, and my personal favorite, a leaping lemur. Now, walking on muddy terrain, these mud tracks, or sliding down a mud slope gets your clothes dirty, your face dirty, your hair dirty, gets mud all over your car. You know, when your car gets done, your car is filthy. And then there's the facial animation, which looks about as human as possible. It didn't feel like a tech demo or just some cutscene, because the transition from the cutscenes to in-game was the same. Uncharted 4 is beautiful, and the graphics really matured alongside the game's story, which I'll get into later. It's the lighting and the details that makes Uncharted 4, and the light touch of motion blur that brings it to life. This is the best looking Uncharted game to date, in my opinion. Okay? Explosions look really good, and chunks of rock, dirt, snow, metal, and all kinds of shit go flying everywhere. And it only loads one time, and that's when you boot the game back up. Now, I'm sure there's some hidden loading, but I really don't care, as it just gave me time to see more of the graphics, which are beautiful. Just when you think one level looks really good, Naughty Dog brought in a new level that topped the last one. And the locations were all different, which we all can say we all come to expect from the Uncharted series. Okay? And this is an example of the next gen was really about. Okay? Big levels, lots of detail, quality animation, and a world packed with detail. That's what we wanted, that's what we got. Now, one of the things I loved about the graphics was when there was a lot of people around, and every person was doing something different. It didn't feel like some random NPC in a world just there as a prop. And the grass and the plants in Uncharted 4 are literally the best I've seen in any game. It really is. I can go on and on about the graphics and upload screenshots in the game, but there are other categories I want to talk about and I need to get to. Plus, I don't want to spoil it for anybody, okay? 10 out of 10 graphics, okay? Now, let's get up to sound next. Naughty Dog once again brought their A game with sound, from the sound effects to the voice acting, and the voice acting is believable. Uncharted 4, much more natural with plot, even though Nathan Drake still jokes around, he's still a bit more serious. And I really love the interaction between Nate and his brother Sam. Sam's dialogue, though, throughout the game made the game, in my opinion. Even though we got Nate, Sully, Elena, Rafe, and Nadine, Sam nailed the troubled brother role, and his words really pulled you in that much to make you want to keep playing that much more of the game. One thing notable about the sound is how Sully aged well. Okay? He didn't talk like the same old Sully from the previous Uncharted games. He talked like a man up in age. A little cranky, but concerned about Nate. Which, even though he doesn't come out and say it, I think we all got the feeling that Sully feels like a father figure to Nate and wanted to look out for him and protect him now. Elena's role as the wife, concerned about her husband, was nailed also. And what else can I say except they all played their roles very well. They really did. Now the sound effects are good as well. With the gunshots having range to them, you got when you shoot in out space, in out open space. Excuse me, not in outer space, in open space. You get an echo and a crack from the gunfire. Well, if you shoot indoors, it sounds really loud. Okay, which is what it's supposed to do. Okay, realistic. And then there are the animals and the people in the game. Even the enemies had conversations that didn't feel like a cheap one-liner or just a sentence. They felt alive. The explosion sounded really good. Even the vehicles. Again, lots of detail. Sound, I got to score it a 10 out of 10. I'm going to get to gameplay in just 1 second. Sorry, I had to... Oh, man, I was getting thirsty there. Nice long little review here, trying to give you some heads up on the game. Okay, now here's the game. Let's get to the gameplay. Now, when I think of Naughty Dog, I think of Jak and Daxter, The Last of Us, and of course Uncharted. Even though everyone else's favorite Uncharted before 4 was 2, mine was actually 1. I liked how open it was, the story, the difficulty, and how everybody was introduced in the first Uncharted. But I also love the treasure hunting in it as well. Uncharted improved things with graphics and multiplayer that would require a lot of skill to play. While Uncharted 3 was the shortest and my least favorite, but was still a good game. Just not quite as good as all the other Uncharted games, not even Golden Abyss in my opinion. Okay? What Uncharted 4 offers is more area to explore, better dialogue, more weapons to play with, including the grappling hook we all played with during the beta, updates on all the melee. So for starters, the fighting is done much better. Enemies are a lot smarter, will flank you, toss grenades at you, some have armor, some will try to knock you out of your vehicle or knock you out period. They tag team you. I've even been triple teamed by enemies. But Uncharted 4 will also let your partners help you out, whether it be with a fight or solving a puzzle. It also introduces more vehicle play. Okay, you even get to ride a boat. Okay, and there's lots of new ways to climb mountains, cliffs, and other objects, buildings, whatever it is. Now, the one thing I loved, which made me laugh at times, was the physics. You can slip and fall on muddy and icy terrains and bust your ass. I'm telling you, you can. And try to get up and you'll fall down and bust your ass again. I even seen an enemy fall once or twice. You can bump into things, and when you toss a grenade at an enemy, they will go flying. I mean, completely up in the air, not just boom, they're dead, which I love, which is more realistic. Or when you knock them out, knock them off a cliff, or try to knock them off a cliff, they look like they're struggling not to fall. That's realistic. This also applies to the vehicles you use. They can sway and fall off course, get stuck in the mud, and all that other stuff. And you will even have to hop out of vehicles when enemies are shooting at them too much, otherwise they will explode. And you will die. I thought the gunplay was done really well. My favorite aspect about Uncharted 4 was the exploring. Okay? Just finding some areas you didn't see and finding a treasure or two, looking at some area in the distance and wondering, how the hell am I going to get to it? Just to get a treasure or take a screenshot. And that's why we've all played Uncharted 4 besides, the gunplay, the exploration. And it doesn't disappoint people. It doesn't. The levels are so big. They're even they're even finishing the game once will require a second, third, or maybe a fourth playthrough. So much to see and so much to do. There's even a part of the game where you get to play Crash Bandicoot. And I thought that was cool to have a game within a game in a game. I also thought it was Naughty Dog's way of telling us about a new Crash Bandicoot, maybe on the way in the future, as soon as something gets settled. I don't know, a possibility. You know those people like to throw hints. Now, with this all said, you're going to enjoy the gameplay a lot. But what about the story? I won't spoil it for anyone because, you know, there are some people who didn't get their copy of Uncharted 4, maybe didn't get to finish it. You know, so I generally don't spoil anything unless it's old enough, okay? Just a little tidbit though. Uncharted 4 is about Nathan Drake and his brother Sam. Nate is living a working life as a husband doing a salvage job while he's married to Elena, and apparently after he spent time in prison. And everything's going fine until his brother Sam shows up in the story. About how he got out of prison, that brings you your info and gets you much more into the game. The way Sam tells his story about excuse me, I need a drink. Excuse me. The way Sam tells his story and how the rest of the game is unfolded is really well done. And it ends up being, what would you do to save someone you love? Even when things aren't as they appear though, Sam really makes Uncharted 4 what it is. And even when you discover certain things, I felt like I didn't want to help Sam because I owed him, but because I wanted to help him. Now the biggest surprise of Uncharted is the ending, and to be honest, it's sort of a cliffhanger and left me thinking what's going to happen next, even though this is a thief's end. Then you have the villains, Nadine Ross, Shoreline, and Rafe, who just comes off as a rich brat who has the money to do whatever he wants, even though he himself don't do much to get there. Until the very end, which again I won't spoil. And Nadine, who inherited money and hired an army of mercenaries. Now one thing I didn't get though was how Sully knew Nadine. He didn't get into detail about it, and he really doesn't elaborate on how he knew about her at all. Okay? Excuse me. I played Uncharted 4 from beginning to end, and taking my time but still wanting to see more of the game, what the game offered. Okay? I just couldn't get enough. You got a long campaign, lots of exploration, a great story, and more about Drake's past you didn't even know about. You even play with little Nathan Drake and Sam. And this was worth every minute I put into playing. It's not media bias or some conspiracy when you experience a good game. It really isn't. And it's a shame haters will hate. Even as a masterpiece like Uncharted 4, even the great graphics, smooth controls, music that sets the tone for each scenario, and all the effects that went into crafting a world that like Uncharted 4. I can't say it enough, but I can't spoil anymore either. Okay? We all wanted a true next-gen experience, and Naughty Dog delivered. This is not a rent, guys. It's not a game you borrow from your friend either. It's a buy. All this crying going on in the wee hours of the morning or on YouTube or on social media in response to a game that actually gave us our money's worth for once. And with that said, Uncharted 4 gets a solid 9.8 out of 10. Now, putting it as a masterpiece status, there is just too much good about Uncharted 4, whether it's the touching story, the excellent graphics, or its charm. It's not only the best Uncharted game or one of Naughty Dog's greatest games to date, but it's one of the best games to date, period. Damn near everyone on my friends list on the PS4 are playing it. Don't miss out, guys. Don't. It's a good game. You'll love it. This is TheTitanFallPrincess, and you were listening to Titanfall Reviews. Like, favorite, comment, and subscribe. And you know why? 'Cause you love me.